Hello, Mustang football fans, and welcome to another edition of the Cory Sauter Show. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director, and thanks for watching us here on Marshall Local Cable Access, Studio One, and online at smsumustangs.com. And again this week, we'll talk Mustang football with the head coach, Cory Sauter, as we look back at last week's heartbreaking 34-31 double overtime loss to Minnesota State Mankato. We'll talk about the ball game, take a look at the highlights, and then we'll preview this week's home game against Upper Iowa University at the Regional Event Center. And Coach joins us as always here on the show. Mustangs lose 34-31 in a double overtime. And Coach, we'll have lots of things to talk about this week. You had a 2-touchdown lead midway through the fourth quarter, and Mankato came back, tied it. You both score in overtime, but you get stopped in double overtime, and they get a field goal to win. You've had a few days now to digest the game. Your overall thoughts. Obviously, very disappointing with the loss, but people always say, well, boy, it was a great game, and went to double overtime against the number 10 team in the country.
Well, Mankato is a really, really good football program. They have a lot of talent, and we came to play, and we played really, really good football for about 53 minutes, and we felt like we were in great position to win that football game, up by 2 touchdowns, and we're to a point where we're playing some really good football, and against really some of the best opponents in our conference. And right now we just haven't been able to find a way to have that signature win in our program, and we're oh so close. Guys play extremely hard, made plays. I mean, when we looked into our game plan and we talked the night before the game and the day of the game, there was a couple things that we wanted to accomplish. One was we wanted to have 0 turnovers on offense, and we did that. I mean, we protected the football. We did a nice job with that. We made some big plays. We accomplished that goal. Defensively, we wanted to create turnovers, and we did that. We created 2 turnovers, and we accomplished that goal. And then special teams, we wanted to play solid. And those are hard goals to do. I mean, they're easy ones to put down on paper, but hard to do, and we did that. And defense actually had what I consider additional turnovers when we had turnover on downs. Right. And so when you put all that together, that's really the ingredients of winning football games. And probably 9 times out of 10, if we would have replayed that last 7 minutes of the ball game, we probably win. And but you got to give them credit. They made plays when they had to down the stretch, and it was an exciting ball game, but tough to swallow, especially when you're that close to victory.
Well, you talked about after the Crookston loss, the next 3 weeks were against Sioux Falls, Wayne State, Minnesota State, that had only just 1 loss combined. I tell you what, the guys in that 3-game stretch really came to play, and he played very well against Sioux Falls, had a great game against Wayne State, and nearly beat Minnesota State Mankato. And there's probably not many people outside your locker room that thought you had a chance. So that's a very encouraging sign. And as you said, to get over that hump, what is that to take to get that? Is it just basically win a football game, or do you see the progression and maybe like, well, we're close now. Let's just get over that hump. But how do you do that? That's the tough thing to figure out.
Well, winning definitely helps that process, but I don't think it's a magical win that all of a sudden now we have all the answers and we are a winning football program. I think it's more of continually chipping away at that stigma, so to speak, because we've got guys that have been here for a long time. They've been through some of the ups and downs of Mustang football. We've had some guys here that are transfers, and they haven't experienced some of those things that those players have over the years. But I think all in all, we are in the right progression. I mean, we are really believing in what we're doing. We're playing hard. We're creating. We're doing things that we're trying to mimic and practice. The night before, the day of the game, before we made the trip to Mankato, I mean, I basically told the guys, if you truly don't believe that we can win this football game, just make sure not to get on that bus. And we said the same thing before the football game. Is before we left the locker room and went out to the field, we said the same exact thing. If you truly don't believe that we're here to win a football game, or you don't believe we can win this football game, make sure to stay in the locker room. We won't hold it against you, but we want to make sure that everybody that goes out on that field believes that's going to happen. And not to say that was the magical words or anything, but I think just in their mindset, they truly believe that if they executed what we called, trusted the techniques that we've trained them to do, we felt they were going to be in good shape, and they executed our game plan extremely well. They do have some good players that at times they're going to make some plays, and they happen to make a lot of those big plays on those last 2 drives. And there's times where a guy is just right there, and their guy makes the play, and our guy doesn't. And so that was just the disappointing thing. When the game's on the line, we've got to find a way to make that play, that 1 or 2 plays that ultimately seals the victory, and we're just so close. And I truly believe we could be a 5-2 team right now, and I think our players believe that. And we've got 4 more ball games to play that our kids are very hungry to get out there and play, and we're getting down there. It's only about 24, 25 days left in this season, and so there's not much left, and we've got to make sure that we finish what we started this season.
Well, again, the Mustangs fall 34-31. Kind of looking back at the contest, Mustangs scored the first touchdown on an Anthony Dean 75-yard touchdown reception from Tyler Prashon. Teams went back and forth and tied up at 10 at halftime. Mustangs took a 2-score lead early in the fourth quarter, a touchdown by Anthony Dean midway through the third quarter, and then Gannon Moore busting through for a touchdown to give the Mustangs a 24-10 lead with 7.5 minutes to go. As I mentioned, Minnesota State scored twice, including once in the last minute of the regulation to send the game in overtime. And both teams scored in OT, Coach. You tied it up with the extra point to make it 31-all. You start with the ball in the second overtime, and really in that tough spot, trying to pick up a first down, but it is kind of a field goal that can be tough, and you like to go for it. Kind of go over your process there on how you came to that decision. First, we did send out the field goal unit, but there would have been about a 30 to 35-yard field goal attempt, and you elect to go for it and had the play and just fingertips away from getting a first down.
Right. Well, there is a lot of thought that goes into it. Actually, even the first overtime, whether we go for 1 or go for 2, and with the second overtime, I really felt that we were getting down there as far as health-wise. I mean, our offensive line was starting to wear down, and I just felt like our defense was struggling at that point in time. I mean, their first series, they had 1 play and scored, and I just felt from getting some momentum back on our side and putting ourselves in the best position to win, we had to go for it, and we did. So we initially went out there for the field goal. Really felt like, let's go for it. And so we called the timeout and sent out our offense again. And then, we had a play action pass that just went through the fingertips. It's just one of those things. We probably make that play 99% of the time. That 1% did not happen for us there, and that's just how it goes sometimes in football games. And then we played solid defense in that second overtime, and we forced them to fourth down. I mean, we didn't let them score a touchdown, and then you hope that they bobble something and miss the field goal or shank it, and you put it through, and they won the ball game. But it's a tough one to swallow. But going back to the first overtime, obviously they scored right away, and we ended up getting the ball second, and had a kind of a longer drive, a lot of plays, and we ended up scoring the touchdown to Cody, and that was a big play for us, and we decided, our run game was struggling at that point in time as far as trying to get 3 yards on a 2-point conversion. So that really wasn't an option. They were stacking the box, and it was really unrealistic for us to run the football in. The passing game, they did cover up pretty much most of our concepts. I mean, we were down there throughout the ball game, of which we did not convert hardly any of them. And I didn't feel like drawing up a new play, something that we didn't practice, and try to do a 2-point conversion with that. And so I just felt like, let's get us in one more overtime, see how we can do. And I really felt like we should have scored a touchdown our second overtime, and then maybe we do win the game. I don't know, but it's pretty easy to go back and second guess a lot of those things. Bottom line is we should have won the ball game during regulation, and we would feel a lot better about ourselves right now.
Yeah, it was a great game for the Mustangs, a great effort, but coming up just short. And we talked about last week, Coach, how great their defense statistically was. #1 team in the nation in rush in total defense, and #2 in rush defense. And you got to give your offensive line and your backs a lot of credit, the tight ends and receivers again, for just completely establishing a running game again. You did a great job in the contest. Your 2 running backs combining for over 100 yards rushing themselves, and that was great to see against that top-ranked defense.
Well, they are. I mean, they've got some big guys up front. I mean, they're 4 down defensive linemen. Really did a pretty good job against our offensive line. I mean, it was a stalemate a lot of times, and but our backs are just good enough right now where they're making a lot of people miss, and they're getting us some extra yardage even after contact. Receivers are doing a phenomenal job on the outside, and our quarterback's getting us in the right plays. And you put that all together, that is a formula to get some yards on the ground. By no means did we think we'd be able to get 180 yards or whatever we got. We thought if we got 100 yards, maybe that would be a great game. But guys battled, guys fought, and we mixed it up pretty well with a few of the play actions as well as our empty passing game to complement that and help us move the ball down the field, and which was really good to see.
On the defensive side of the football, again, just 10 points allowed through the first 3.5 quarters, and got 4 sacks in the game. A.J. Page with a couple. Deshaun Miller had a sack, also had an interception, his first in a Mustang uniform, and you can see the last few weeks the defense just getting more confidence and able to make some turnovers as well and get some stops. You mentioned Mankato went for it a few times on 4th down, and you guys are able to make some plays, and you just see that the youngsters getting a little more confident and be able to play at this level and making some plays.
Well, they're playing very, very aggressive right now, and that was our whole main objective, is making sure that our guys understood what they had to do, play fast, create something. You just never know how that ball's going to bounce, and we did get the interception, did get the fumble, and it was just good to see our offense play with aggression and really not back down. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and so that effort that they had last week is going to win most ball games. I mean, it should have won last week's ball game, but I'm really pleased with the way they progressed this season, especially these last couple of weeks. I mean, they're really coming along well, and I want to make sure that we have a great 4-week stretch here coming up. There's no reason why we can't.
Again, the Mustangs, some of the statistics from the contest: SMSU offensively, 383 yards of total offense, 176 on the ground. Individually, Mustangs' Anthony Dean had 103 yards receiving. That's a career high for him. His second 100-yard receiving game of his career, had a couple of touchdowns. Rushing the football, Warren Matthews, 81 yards on 18 carries, and Gannon Moore, 68 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries, as the Mustangs had a great game, but fall 34-31 in double overtime to Minnesota State Mankato. We've talked about the contest. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights from Saturday's game at Blakesley Stadium in Mankato. And we start off on the defensive side, Coach, and Mustangs able to get a stop here and force a field goal miss, and Jacob Letso with the tackle for loss.
Yeah, Mankato's offensive line's got some big guys. Their guards and things are all over 300 pounds, but you can see how he sheds, gets in behind, uses his speed versus a very large offensive line. Very good to see him playing at a high level.
Here's Deshaun Miller, number 31, Mark Schulmeyer, number 50. Get pressure on the quarterback to force an incompletion.
Yep, you'll see Mark Schulmeyer here playing the right defensive end, and does a nice job using his hands. He avoids getting cut, accelerates, and gets to the quarterback, forces him to throw it a little bit before he wants to.
And this forces a 4th down situation for the Mavericks, and Deshaun Miller gets the tip pass and interception.
Again, this was one of our major goals this game, is to create turnovers, and a lot of these were deep in our territory, and that was great to see. I mean, it's kind of a bend but not break mentality, and you just never know how that ball's going to kind of bounce out of there, and guys are right there to make the play, and just good to see.
And Miller with the interception. Mustangs able to take advantage of it. 3rd and 15, long pass to Dean for the touchdown.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this is designed to get the first down with 3rd and 15. You don't anticipate him going all the way, but makes a great play, goes up and catches the football. Their defender, misses the tackle initially, and Dean's fast enough to take it all the way. But you can see really good pass protection. Mankato playing a 2-man coverage, which is just 2 deep safeties with man coverage underneath, so they take away a lot of your underneath throws, and we ended up capitalizing on their coverage.
Yeah, glad you mentioned that. Great coverage, or great pass protection to give Tyler time to throw the football. Mustangs lead at 7-0, and the Mavericks threatening to take the lead here. But a big sack or at least tie the game, but a big sack by A.J. Page.
Right, and this is a huge play because really this is a 4-point swing, going from a touchdown potential play to a huge sack that forces them to kick a field goal. But you can see getting 4 sacks against a team that runs the ball quite a bit is a pretty big accomplishment, and you can see AJ getting a good angle and finishing with a nice tackle.
And the Mavericks settle for a field goal, 7-3, SMSU in the lead. Back on offense, Tyler Pashon finds tight end Cody Condon, big gain and dragging a lot of defenders with him.
Yep, here's one of our plays from our empty package that we decided to go with during the ball game, and Cody's just a big target. He's a big kid with long arms, and he's able to separate and break a tackle and get us some good hard yards inside.
Mustangs later on in this drive get Tyler Pashon able to use his feet here, not as much in the last few weeks, but getting still good use of that, and picks up a big first down.
Yeah, again, you can see Mankato playing a lot of man coverage, and they have the athletes to do it. I mean, they have guys that are really on the hip of each receiver. Everyone's covered up. Tyler steps up and finds a crease, and that's what they're going to be susceptible to when you play man coverage as your quarterback runs, and that wasn't a designed quarterback run.
Mustangs not able to get a touchdown, but Lance Schuviler drills a 27-yard field goal. Longest drive of the season play-wise for the Mustangs, 17 plays on this drive.
Lots of plays. You can see a nice snap, hold, and kick, and laces were out, and everything was good, and good to get points on this defense.
The Mavericks tie it late in the first half with a long touchdown drive, and it's 10-10 at halftime, but start off here in the third quarter. The Mavericks have the ball, and the Mustangs force the turnover on downs.
Yep, you'll see Mark Scholmeyer coming around the edge and really flushes the QB out of the pocket. You can see him on the right side of the screen, does a nice job getting around their tackle. And Deshaun had a near sack there. He just takes a little bit of a poor angle, but bottom line is we get off the field on that play.
Yep, Page gets credit with the sack, and Mustangs come back the other way. The sun starts to shine, and Pashon finds Condon for a big gain.
Yep, we ended up, this was the first play of the series, and they decided to bring pressure, bring both backers to the right of your screen. We can't pick up both of them, and Tyler takes a hit, but it's well worth it. We get the ball off and hit a shallow cross to our tight end.
Great throw by Pashon, and the Mustangs with that rushing attack we talked about, over 170-some yards, and Gannon Moore nearly breaks this for a touchdown.
Yep, nice run. It wasn't easy going running the football. It wasn't like we were gashing them. They make you work for every yard you get, and it's just good to see our guys blocking on the outside, offensive line just getting enough of a guy to make a play.
Mustangs 3rd and goal from the 3, and back shoulder throw to Anthony Dean, a tough catch, touchdown.
Yeah, really nice catch over the top of the defender, and really just nice concentration, being able to finish that play, being able to hold the ball out long enough to get the touchdown. A lot of times receivers get a little antsy, and they try to pull the ball into their body, and the ball gets stripped. But here he makes a big play, and that was a critical one in the ball game.
Yeah, the Mustangs with the lead now 17-10, and here's Deshaun Miller forcing quarterback out with the big hit with the sack.
Yep, Deshaun's really playing well. He's a a very physical linebacker, and just understands the game, and not afraid to put a hit on somebody. And again, he's playing at a high level right now.
Mustangs lead 17-10. Minnesota State first in 10 at the 11-yard line following a botched Mustang punt attempt, and the Mustangs take advantage of it with a fumble here, and Blake Pennick recovers.
Yep, that's just one of the risks when you're an option type team is the ball can go on the ground if you don't read it properly, and here the ball just goes right to the ground, and we're right there to pick it up. And that was a huge play, just being that deep in our territory.
And the Mustangs deep in their territory, but not phased. They pick up a couple of big first downs on some third down conversions, and here's one of them here, a great pass to Anthony Dean.
Yeah, 3rd and 13. Again, being able to get a big play like this is tough. I mean, normally these are about 15% completions, but we ended up getting a couple of them in the ball game, and Anthony has done a nice job going up and catching footballs in traffic.
And then on 4th and 1, Mustangs play action. Pashawn fires it out to Moore here in the bottom of the screen.
Yep, we had another play call designed initially. We ended up changing the play and getting the play action pass, and again, we didn't feel like it was a big risk, just the way we were playing, momentum and everything. We decided to go for it. We ended up getting it.
And the next play, Gannon Moore gives the Mustangs a 2-touchdown lead.
Yeah, and Gannon makes their safety miss, and you can see just the frustration of their players at this point. Being down by 2 touchdowns, great feeling to be in, great position to be in. We just got to find a way to finish and close out ball games, and we didn't accomplish that in that last 7 minutes.
So the game is now tied. Our Mustangs lead 24-10. The Mavericks scored twice in the last 6:20 of the ball game, and now we go to overtime. Mustangs down by 7, and Tyler Pashawn finds Britt Wickett for a 14-yard reception.
Yeah, really good pocket awareness by Pashawn. He slides in the pocket, finds Wickett coming across the field, but you can see right here we've got to step up. They got some pretty good penetration inside, has enough vision to see that, and gets a nice gain for the first down.
And here is the tying touchdown. Great pass to Condon. Not an easy catch, and he grabs it. Beautiful touchdown.
Yep. This is a 3rd and 8 situation, and we're struggling down here. I mean, the game's on the line, and Cody does a nice job separating. He's got those long arms to make the play, and ended up tying the ball game at that point and going into the second overtime.
And the Mustangs kick the extra point to tie the game, and as we mentioned, Mustangs then start the double overtime with the football, but are stopped on downs, and then the Mavericks move down to about the 2 or 3 yard line and kick the field goal to win 34-31 in 2 overtimes. So the Mavericks 7-0 on the season. SMSU drops to 2-5, and will return home this weekend to take on Upper Iowa University. 5 o'clock kickoff at the Regional Events Center. And Coach, we talked about this, and we'll talk about Upper Iowa shortly, but we've talked in the past how you've got to bounce back, and unfortunately we've had to bounce back after more losses than wins, which is unfortunate, but you just got to keep stressing that and get these guys ready for practice this week, because as you mentioned, there's not many games left. There's 4 of them left, but it's still a privilege to play football and to get out there, and the guys will be ready on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I was very disappointed after the game on Saturday, and our guys were extremely disappointed with the final result, and that was good to see, because they didn't have the feeling of oh, we played close. That whole I didn't get that vibe at all from our players. I mean, they felt victory right there in front of them, and we didn't capitalize on it. There was that certain level of frustration that we didn't accomplish our ultimate goal. But when we came back, we had a team meeting. We gave them some time off. I wanted those guys to physically get recharged, mentally get recharged for this final push. We got 4 games left, and of which 3 are home games, and we want to play well down the stretch, and I think that's going to help us out. I mean, we could tell at practice yesterday we have just a renewed sense of urgency and excitement here coming down the road. But after our Mary loss, we had to get past that, and we didn't. And I think that's a good reminder for our guys that we had a tough loss here this past weekend. There's no way, shape, or form that can carry over into this week's game. We've got to be able to put that behind us, and the biggest thing that we've got to do is just focus on us, not so much our next opponent, but just on us. That'll be our biggest concern, our biggest area that we've got to make sure we handle. And if we do that, I feel like we're going to be in great shape. But our guys have got to understand that they all are special, and the next one's going to be right around the corner, and we've got to play well, and there's no reason why we can't. We've got a lot of momentum behind us. We played really good football. Really should be 2-1 in this last stretch of games, probably the hardest 3 games that you can imagine on your schedule, just ranked teams and things. And so we just got to make sure that we get ourselves ready to play our best football down the stretch.
As you mentioned, 5 o'clock on Saturday against Upper Iowa, and the Peacocks and Mustangs had a great game at the Regional Events Center last year. Went down to the last possession. Durante Smith had an interception to seal the victory for the Mustangs. And the Peacocks, kind of a strange team, coach. They were 2-2 after the first 4 weeks, and now have lost 3 in a row. And played a very tough game on the road at Bemidji State, nearly won that one. They beat Moorhead on the road, but they've struggled the past couple of weeks. But they got a very good offense, and they'll be a challenge for the Mustangs on both sides of the football, but really one of the top offenses in the conference.
Yeah, they are, and you just look at Upper Iowa games in general. I know since I've been here, 2008, it was the last second Hail Mary that we ended up winning. 2010, we ended up going overtime. Yep. Last year, it came down last year. I mean, so regardless if they were 0-7 and we're 7-0, it really doesn't matter what the record is. We always find a way to have a close ball game. And the fact that you mentioned, they're a team that could easily have 2 more victories this season, without question. And we're very similar teams. We both have the same records. We both have had similar issues as far as not being able to win some of those close games. And so I'm really looking forward to the challenge. Their offense is very talented. The numbers speak for themselves. And we've got to make sure we don't take them for granted, because they're a dangerous football team. They really are, and I think our players understand that as well. I mean, we watched them on film. We've practiced some of the looks. They give us some different issues, both on offense and defense. And really, the last couple games that we've played, those teams have been pretty vanilla, pretty basic on offense and defense. Upper Iowa gives us a little bit different, some different looks that we haven't seen in quite a while, and so we just got to get used to some of those looks and practicing against them. So it should be a good matchup. I'm looking for a big game from our guys, and hopefully we can bounce back from last week.
Yeah, you're right. The Mustangs, 3 of their last 4 games are going to be at the Regional Events Center, and it starts up this Saturday, 5 o'clock. At the stadium against Upper Iowa University. Both teams coming in with records of 2-5. So hope to see you out at the stadium supporting the Mustangs as they look to get back in that win column and pick up win number 3 on this season. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access, and online at smsumustangs.com. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, go Mustangs!